So what we know is that the budget lays out the government's spending and tax plans for the year. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be the case, that the government has as much tax revenue as it needs to spend. Indeed, for most of the past 30 or 40 years, it generally hasn't. So therefore, tax and government spending may be different from one another, and that leads us to some key terms. It's possible, that on the one hand, it's possible that government spending, might be more than tax. Under these circumstances, the government has a budget deficit. So in other words, it's spending more than it's got, and therefore the government is going to have to borrow. And we'll talk about how they do that in a minute. It's possible, that tax might be greater than government spending. That did occur very briefly back in about 2000, 2001. Under those circumstances, we have a budget surplus. On that basis, the government can repay some of what it's borrowed in the past, and I'll talk about the relevant terminology there. Or finally, it's possible that government spending might equal tax, in which case we have what's called a balanced budget. That almost never happens, because it would be by chance. So what you'll see, in terms of other questions, what's the relationship between the budget deficit and the national debt? What we can say is that the budget deficit or surplus, that's what's happening in 1 year. So that's 1 year of borrowing. The national debt is all years added together. At the moment, in principle, that's standing at about 40 billion. But this is, I'm filming this just before the coronavirus year comes about. And in reality, that's probably going to be somewhere in the region of 200 billion pounds. The national debt is about 80. Well, it depends on how you count it. But about 1,800 billion pounds, or 1.8 trillion. So all of your budget surpluses and deficits. Other questions here then are what else is there? How does the government borrow? So the way the government borrows is every month the Treasury. So this is nothing to do with the Bank of England. The Treasury, which is part of the government. They go to financial markets. And they say we don't have enough money. And the way that they borrow is they issue what are called bonds. So the answer is, the government sells bonds to financial markets, and all a bond is it's an IOU. It's a tradable loan. So the way a bond works is that they come generally in £100 lumps. They have a date at which the government's going to repay. So the redemption date. So that's say 2050. And they also have what's called a coupon, which says, well, on that £100, how much will they give you? That would be a very good 3%. Would be a very, very good rate. Given the state of the world at the moment. So this bond, what happens is that the government sells this bond. Whoever buys it gives somewhere in the region of £100 to the government. Every year, they then get £3 each year forever. Well, not forever, sorry. They get £3 a year for quite a long time. So in 2021, they'll get £3. In 2022, they'll get £3. In 2023, they'll get £3. In 2024, they'll get £3. All the way until 2050, when they get £100. Now, the point about a bond is that, rather than just having given the government your £100 and that being it, this can be bought and sold. So there is a market for bonds, in which you can find somebody else, who wants to buy your bond. But whether they'll give you £100 for it or not depends on a whole variety of factors. In particular, it depends on whether that £3 on 100 is a good deal. Sometimes bonds will sell for more than that. Sometimes they'll sell for less than that. So suppose you had to pay suppose you agreed to pay £200 for a £100 bond, might or might not. What we would say is that from the government's point of view, the bond is still worth £100. Just because I sell it to you for 200 quid, or you sell it to me for 200 quid, the government's not interested. Therefore, they will still give us £3 a year. So our yield, and this is a simplification, our yield is basically, for the new person, they get £3 per year, they pay £200 for it, so in terms of the percentage that you're getting, it's 1.5%. And that's what we mean by a bond yield. So a bond is simply a tradable piece of debt. The government sells these bonds. The government is then out of this game until 2050 for this particular one. In 2050, they'll give you your money back somehow, usually by borrowing it from somebody else, to be honest. In between, individuals, banks, insurance companies, and so on can buy and sell these things between one another. And remember, having this thing, from your point of view, is an asset. The government isn't going to default.